It really is, for me, and arguably the greatest time travel movie ever put on film.
If we would have done something different at one moment, would it have changed our whole lives for the better?
I think it's the best thing that I've ever written. I mean, along with Bob, of course.
Zemeckis and Gale really found lightning in a bottle.
You probably have one of those in a lifetime.
Lightning in a bottle tends to stick around for a long time.
Back to the Future, a standard-bearer movie series of what the DeLorean was actually really created for, revealing the true creator of the Chuck Berry duck walk, and most important, giving legions of Chicago Cubs fans hope that they are now the team of destiny. According to Doc Brown's time machine, this day, October 21st, 2015, was when America was cheering the Cubs' World Series win, hoverboards were everywhere, and another Jaws sequel was in the theaters. Thank God the third one didn't happen. Welcome then the creators of a new documentary, Back in Time, noting the cultural impact of the Back to the Future series, director Jason Aron, executive producer Louis Krubich, and producer Lee Leshen. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here, and I just want to clear this up right off the top so there's no conspiracy theories. None of you actually went back in time or went forward in time to make sure that everything here was done correctly. Yes?
No comment. I would
Can't
say
speak
no
on that.
comment.
Confidential.
Sorry.
I knew it. I knew there was going to be at least one that would say that, because now at least we know there is another DeLorean there. Listen, as you're making this movie, I can only imagine when you get to talk to guys like Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis and get into their heads on why they included certain things in this. Did you get an idea of just that creative process? Because some of these things you would never think of putting in a movie back in the 80s.
A lot of it was jokes at the time. Certainly the Cubs winning the World Series was a big joke from Bob Gale. He's a huge Cardinals fan and just wanted to stick it to those Cubs fans and let them know that Cubs weren't ever going to win the World Series. So certainly Back to the Future 2 they had a lot of fun with.
But when it comes to having fun, they've also got there's that great creative process. I go back to even in my childhood, I think of the Jetsons. The cartoon series that really was, I think of hoverboards, I think of flying cars. Did they have references like that, things that they grew up with, I guess, in their childhood that made them think ahead to some of these things?
I don't think so. I think a lot of it was just imagination, probably things that they had read in books and stuff like that, and really looking at the first movie and saying, how could we take that to the next level? So you have the skateboard chase scene, and the hoverboard scene is just a riff on that. You know, same thing with flying cars and Goldie Wilson. So just really expanding on what the first movie was and taking it to the next level.
And look, I mean, movies are about playing pretend. You know, I mean, if I'm a writer and I know that I get to shoot all this stuff, you know, after the success of Back to the Future, the first installment, and now I get to kind of open up and say, well, you know, what would I want to see as a kid? You know, flying cars, certainly. I mean, Bob Gale is of that generation, as is Bob Zemeckis. You know, where's my jetpack? So this was their way to bring that to life, I think.
All right, so each of you then take a couple of seconds here and tell us what the movie series, the greatest impact that it made on you, visually, culturally, what was it? Go ahead and start. Jason, you first.
Wow, for me, I can't remember a time without it. I was only 2 years old when the movie came out, and ironically, we asked a lot of people in our interview process what was their first time. And for me, I can't remember it. I don't know when the first time I saw it was, but I know that I grew up with it. I know that it was part of my childhood, and my early memories were just sitting with a Sony recorder and recording Back to the Future line by line with a good friend of mine and listening to it back. So always good memories from Back to the Future, and I'm almost glad that I'm young enough that I didn't know a time before Back to the Future. It's just always been a part of life.
Louis, you go ahead. Next.
Yeah, for me, it was, you know, I was born in Moscow, Russia, so I moved here in 1987. And then growing up, this was a movie that my brother would watch at home just to learn the English language. It was an easy watch. It was, you know, family friendly. So I grew up watching that and learning how to speak English. So for me, it meant a lot more. It was a very entertaining movie, of course, and it was always fun to do it. But I remember this being a movie that we always watched just to learn how to interact and communicate in the English language. So that's kind of the effect it had on me in my life.
All right, Lee, you're last. Go ahead.
And well, I would say, I mean, I remember, you know, being 7 years old when the movie came out. I remember going to the theater in, I believe it was in Manhasset, Long Island, and I went with my father. And I remember we came out, and I was just floored. And I said, you know, Dad, can we get your car up to 88 miles an hour if that's all we need to do? to go back in time or go forward in time. Let's do this, you know. And he kind of explained that it was an old Italian car, and it didn't really get up to 8 miles an hour, let alone 88 miles an hour. So that was. But I still remember leaving there and being floored by the effects, by the story, and then just learning more about time travel and things like that, which I never would have studied. I don't think any of us would have studied. And the beauty of this movie, this first movie, is that it explains the rules of time travel, and really all movies after that have to do with it kind of look to Back to the Future as the Bible of time travel.
I got about 30 seconds left here. Is it not fair to say, gentlemen, that the best part of the movie is still Christopher Lloyd? Because if you're going to make a mad scientist, this guy probably nailed the part for all time.
Ironically, they interviewed everyone from Jeff Goldblum all the way down the list, and I can't imagine another doc.
But no way, Jeff Goldblum was it? Anybody else that maybe that they thought about having in there that wouldn't have made a decent Doc Brown?
There's a long list. Brand new Back to the Future book out. They have a copy of the original memo from the 80s, so check that out.
I can't.
After you watch our film.
Yeah, no, I can't even imagine. I want to remind everybody, the documentary is called Back in Time. It releases today. This is the day, October 21st, 2015. The Cubbies are in it. We still want our hoverboards. Thankfully, we don't have Pepsi Perfect. There's so much more we could go into here. But please.
I'm sorry, can I interrupt real
10 seconds,
fast?
10 seconds.
If you don't mind. Sorry, well, you said hoverboards. We wanted to just thank. Tomorrow night is our premiere, and we're so thankful to Swagway for sponsoring that. We really do appreciate it. It's the closest thing to hoverboards we got right now. So
there you go.
Stay tuned. Who knows?
Back to the Future and Back in Time.